Welcome to the We Are More podcast. My name is Alyssa.
And my name's Bree. We're two sisters passionate about all things faith and feminism.
We believe that Jesus trusted, respected, and encouraged women to teach and preach his word. And apparently that's controversial.
Get comfy.
Stop, I hate that.
Oh, I choked myself.
Good.
Happy coffee time.
Happy coffee time, world.
Happy cough? Nope. Happy cough drop time.
Yeah, for me.
Alyssa still has the plague.
I do have the plague. If any of you have ever had pneumonia, first of all, how do you get pneumonia? Explain this to me, because the internet basically says, we don't know.
I heard that a small pneumonia demon crawls into your room at night and into your lungs.
Frankly, at this point, I would believe it.
Actually, I had a patient tell me one time if he could have any superpower, it would be to look at someone and slowly fill their lungs with liquid. So maybe that happened to you.
Did you perchance call the police?
He gave us all pens for Christmas.
Maybe call the police. That's not a good enough Christmas present. Speaking of Christmas, have you people started purchasing Christmas gifts yet?
Yeah.
Because our mother, she is determined to be done Christmas shopping, I think in the next 2 weeks. Soon.
She's a woman on a mission.
That overwhelms me.
I get that though, because there's other things that you want to take care of during that holiday season, and Thanksgiving is really late this year, so you have even less time to shop.
I get the desire to do it. I don't get the motivation to do it.
Yeah.
That's a very different thing.
I think every year I'm like, oh, I'm going to start early. And I do a little bit, but I'm not as proactive as Mom. I am a procrastinator.
For the kids, a lot of times we'll go during the summer.
Yeah.
If you don't know this is great. Hot tip.
Hack.
During the summer, a lot of, grocery stores and stuff. So Target, Meijer, Walmart, whatever. Mm-hmm. They will start to get rid of all of their previous year's toys. Mm-hmm. So everything goes on clearance.
It's fantastic.
So if you've got little kids, check around, I want to say June, July.
I think it was July. Yeah. Target had a ton of Melissa and Doug stuff on sale, on clearance, good clearance.
Yeah. And then you just stick it in the closet. And don't forget that you have it. That's the key.
Yeah.
Because that's a bad time.
Mm-hmm.
Also, don't purchase so much that your children get tired of opening presents, because I did that once. It's not a great time.
But both your kids have winter birthdays as well, so you can just kind of spread the love.
It's actually really tough. All the birthdays are right in a row. Mm-hmm. My husband's birthday is the month before Christmas, and then there's Christmas, and then we've got a January birthday, and then we've got February birthdays. So it's just all right in a row. Don't do that to yourself, people. Spread your children out a little bit.
So today, we are going to be talking about something that's been on my mind and on my heart for a couple of weeks now.
It's on your heart?
It's literally on my heart.
How did it manage that?
It was a little demon.
People are going to stop listening to us.
We're going to be talking about people pleasing today.
We're going to hurt some people's souls a little bit.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Sorry. It's just something that I feel specifically is forced on women, and we're conditioned from a very young age to become very aware of other people's needs around us, and not even put ourselves on the list of who we care about. And there's also a lot of negativity around self-love and self-care.
Yeah.
Because that was a big thing for a while. Take time for yourself. Mm-hmm. But then it seems like you're selfish because you're doing it.
I actually watched this TikTok today, and it's this guy. He actually responds to a lot of Christian podcasts, but he is not himself a Christian. Okay. So it's really interesting. I sent a couple of them to you.
He has a nice beard.
He does. He's a lovely beard. But one of the ones that he was talking about, he was like, okay, guys, so this is embarrassing for me. I hope you're prepared. And basically what had happened was several months prior, he recognized that his wife was just kind of drained. Mm-hmm. She was needing a break. So he bought her a plane ticket to go out to New York to see some shows. I don't know how much this cost him. I realize that that's not something everyone can do. But bought her a plane ticket for like a whole week. Just, go do your thing. I've got the kids. They've got 3 kids. Just
3 too many.
Lovely, Brie. And the week before she was supposed to go, absolutely all of the children got sick. Like puking toddlers. They've got a puppy. It's a bad time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she's feeling guilty. She's feeling like she should stay. She should cancel on this trip. And he's like, no, absolutely not. You go.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be fine. Everything will be fine. So she went. And he did this video about it. Like, hey, look at the fun time she had. Look what she did for herself. This is great. Kind of praising her or whatever. And he said that most of the comments that he got were like, you're such an amazing dad. She owes you a big favor when she gets home,
yuck.
blah, 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 stuff like that, And he's like, guys, this is embarrassing. Mm-hmm. The bar is set so low for, in his case, dads, but, we can kind of extrapolate that to men in general.
Yeah.
That simply a man staying home with his children and, being a parent is like, oh, she owes you big time.
She actually doesn't.
Like, I understand that it's not always possible for parents to step away. That it's nice that she's able to take a break.
Mm-hmm.
But let's flip this around and let's say he went on a 5-day hunting trip. Yeah, or a golf trip or something. Absolutely no one is going to get on there and be like, oh, he owes you big time when he gets back. You're such a wonderful mom. It's just incredible that you can do this all by yourself.
No, that would absolutely never happen.
Right. But because women are raised to be nurturing, to be maternal, to be people-pleasing, and men generally are not raised with that same expectation,
yeah,
we get crap like that.
I was listening to a podcast, and it was this male author of a book about people-pleasing, and to promote his book, he made a podcast about it too. But it was just very interesting hearing that he was a people pleaser. I'm not saying that men cannot be people pleasers. I absolutely think that they can. But just the different dynamics. Like for women, it is in our DNA.
Right.
Like,
it's an expectation.
Yes, it's an expectation. But for him, the way he was describing it was kind of like a bank. And you have this personal bank, and every time you do something for someone else, you're giving away a little bit of love that you have for yourself as well. So one of his examples was, after I go to the gym and all I want to do is take like a 30-minute long steaming hot shower. But I know that there's other people in the house and I don't want to take up all the hot water, so I'll just take a slightly less hot shower to accommodate the rest of the people in the household. Or I'm not going to take the very last bagel or whatever it is. Really, it's just kind of like being a decent human being.
Yeah, I don't know that I would look at that and say,
oh, he's a people pleaser.
People pleasing. Yeah.
No. I think it's just, in general, you should consider the thoughts and feelings of the people around you,
right,
to some degree.
But for women, it's pushed so much further. It's not, I'm not going to take the 30-minute hot shower. It's, I can't go to the gym because someone has to make dinner, get the kids ready for school, etc., etc., etc.
Your needs and priorities aren't even on your radar. So I looked up, just in general, hey Google AI, what is a people pleaser? It says, it's a pattern of behavior where someone goes out of their way to please others, even at the expense of their own needs. And I think that's the key, is like at the expense, right, of your own needs. It's not just, I'll take a slightly less hot shower.
Right. Well, I think a big highlight of that is the word needs. As opposed to, like when you're talking about, and I don't want to criticize this man because I don't know anything about him, but when you're talking about, oh, I just want to take a hot shower, that's not necessarily a need.
Right.
If you have the time If nothing else is necessary in the house and whatever, okay, yeah, take your hot shower. But it's not like a need, whereas women are expected to give up their needs. They're expected to, when the toddler comes up and says, I want your lunch instead. Yeah. Do give it to them.
I want all of those donut holes. I want to lick each
every day of my life, okay? My son will go to Dunkin' and he likes the little munchkins. And we got, because they've got, Dunkin' has the it's not a boo bucket, but like
Essentially it is.
Yeah, like a Halloween bucket now. It's surprisingly expensive, guys. Don't buy it. It's a lot of donuts.
It's just a regular bucket.
It's just a bucket.
It's not super exciting.
No. But we bought it for the kids to share. And I swear to you, that little boy took a bite or a lick of every single one. But that's kind of the expectation with parents, with moms, is that, well, he licked every single one, so I guess I'll be hungry for the rest of the day.
And it's almost like a sense of like a status. You shouldn't have any time for yourself. You shouldn't put any effort into yourself or care for yourself in any way because your husband or your partner and your kids all come before you and you come dead last every time. And it's not like, it's okay for you to come last sometimes.
Yeah. There's
sometimes
a balance.
you make sacrifices.
Right.
Yeah. But you need to put your priorities and your mental health and your physical health at the top sometimes. So some other traits of being a people pleaser. You're always available to help others. Always available. Again, at the expense of your own needs. You're going to drop everything to pick up that phone and talk to your coworker because they were having some drama.
Brianna.
Or, I don't know, any other examples, but I feel that.
Yeah.
And I think so many other women feel that. You always have to drop everything.
Well, and what are you looked at like if you don't? If you don't pick up that phone when your coworker calls, you're kind of a word that I shouldn't say on the Christian podcast.
A real witch with a bee.
Yeah. Like you're a jerk. You're antisocial. You're not holding up your part of the deal.
Or even things like, hey, do you want to go out to lunch today? And you feel like you can't say no. That's another trait of a people pleaser, is the inability to say no without an excuse attached to that. I just don't want to.
Right. That actually happened to me this weekend. I got a text from another parent at my daughter's school, and it was like, oh, hey, can she come over and do whatever? This is not a parent that I know, but they wanted her to come over. My daughter's very social, okay? Like, she's not like me, guys. But I didn't want her to go. Not for any particular reason, other than that she's busy a lot and I don't get to see her a ton. Yeah. And I wanted to spend time with her. But I couldn't just say no, because then I'm a jerk. So it was like, no, we're doing family things and this and that. Let me explain 45 different things to you. Because you don't want to be the jerky mom in line that everybody glares at. I don't know.
For me, the other day I was at work and this rep came in and she was offering to buy us crumble cookie. And it was in a different town was the closest crumble cookie. So it was a good like 10-minute drive, I would say. And she's like, I don't know if I can have it delivered. I can drive over there though. Do you want to come with me? And I was like, I like, my brain went completely blank. And to me, I just should have said no, because I'm at work. I can't just get up and go drive to a crumble cookie with
weird.
You.
Yeah.
But she laughed at me. She's like, you can just say no, I don't want to. It's okay.
Well, that was very nice of her.
Yes.
To make that not like an awkward situation.
And then I just got up and I was like, I gotta go. I'm the most awkward person. I can't handle myself. Another trait is to make plans and take care of details for others. And I think you do that a lot.
Yeah. I think we've talked about this before. But we go to Disney a lot, okay?
I don't know if you know this or if you've been on the podcast or in our lives for any amount of time, but we are Disney folk.
I think folk is too light of a word.
We are citizens of Disney.
We've lost our dang minds. Right now, we don't have a trip planned for like 2 years, 2.5 years, I think. And we're all over here just losing our crap.
Just in a deep state of depression.
I mean, I give it another 2 months before one of us books a trip. Maybe.
It's just so comforting. It's just such a happy place.
Anyway. So whenever we go on the trip, our mom and I are like kind of the designated planners.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting. If you've ever planned a Disney trip, it is complicated. Mm-hmm. There's so much that goes into it. And it's not just like, okay, I'm going to take a week and plan the whole trip and be done. It's, okay, this has to happen at 180 days out. This has to happen at 60 days out. This has to happen at 30 days out.
Make restaurant reservations until 60 days ahead, and you have to wake up at the crack of dawn to schedule those. Otherwise, you're not going to get those reservations. Mm-hmm. And I think the issue with that is I feel like people pleasers feel like they can't ask for help, or if they do ask for help, they're inconveniencing someone else.
Well, I think there's an expectation, especially on Christian women, of just handling all of these things. Mm-hmm. That's your job as the woman, as the wife, as the whatever.
Yeah.
You're going to handle this because I don't know, because traditional gender roles, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, think about your holidays, right? When you go over for Thanksgiving or Christmas, I feel like in a lot of families, there's like one specific person who does not ask for help and takes on all the stress. And, you know, it's not that people aren't offering to help. It's just that they feel like if they were to ask for help, that would be inconveniencing the other person. Right. They don't want to do that desperately.
And I think there's two sides to that. There's the side where other people, when you see someone's struggling in that situation, whether it's planning a holiday, whether it's planning your vacation, whatever it is, to jump in and say like, hey, I'd like to take some responsibility. Please give me something to do. But on the flip side also, women out there, even though you haven't been told you can do this very often, you can and should ask for and demand help.
Especially if you feel like the people around you aren't offering it. And it's okay to give away some of that control. And maybe that's it. Maybe you want to keep that control. Or maybe you don't trust the people around you. But you have to teach people how to treat you. And I think part of that is demanding more.
Yeah. Well, even with the podcast. So there was a long stretch of time. Bree works full time and I work part time. So a lot of times I take on a lot of the editing, the whatever. But I have the plague. Okay. So I've had to hand over pretty much all the social media.
That's why it's a real wreck right now.
It's been great. It's been great.
It's not. I don't really have consistent fonts.
It's fine. It's fine. But the point is, that's a little tough for me. Or the first couple times Brie edited episodes. This is a joint effort. Brie and I do this together. It's our podcast. But there's a sense of control.
Like I could do this the way that I want it done, or I could do it better.
Well, I know exactly how I want it done. And so it's hard for me to step back and say like, no, Brie knows what she's doing. She's going to do a good job. All is well. That's tough for me. And maybe that's why God has given me the plague.
Maybe. But maybe for me too. I've become very relaxed at just, okay, she's got this. She can handle it. She'll let me know if she needs help.
Right.
But maybe that's God's way of being like, Brianna, step up.
Well, I think, and I've talked about this in therapy many times because of planning Disney trips and stuff. My therapist said to me, I remember the first couple times, she was like, have you ever just said no?
Yeah.
I'm not going to plan this. I'm not going to do this. If you guys want to get on that ride, you can handle it. And I was like,
no.
What do you mean? Is that allowed? Are
no
you crazy?
Is a complete sentence. You can't say no.
Yeah. And And that was a little jarring to me to actually accept this concept of I can say, no, this is my limit. I've hit my limit and someone else has to take it from here.
Part of a people pleaser is the inability to set boundaries. And I think I would also add to that, keep those boundaries.
Yeah.
Because you feel like if you're a people pleaser, you're probably an empath too. You feel like you don't want to hurt that other person.
Right. I don't want to put more on you when I know how hard it is to have so much on me.
Right. But those boundaries are set up for a reason. And if that other person respects you or loves you in any way, they'll understand why you put up those boundaries and they'll respect them.
And I think a huge way to start down that path, like a really good way, is to find those people that you really trust and really believe in. Like with the podcast, how Brie is one of the people that I trust the most in the world.
Good. As it should be.
So I can hand that to her, knowing that she's not going to get mad at me for saying, I need your help, or intentionally screw it up, or anything like that. And then from there, maybe I can go to a person that I trust a little bit less.
Right.
Because I've distanced myself from that need for control. I've distanced myself from that need to people please.
Yeah. I think for just in general, everybody out there, we talk about this at work a lot, is situational awareness. So at your holidays, as they're coming up, rather than constantly going up to that person who's handling all that stress and saying, what can I do to help? What can I do to help? What can I do to help?
Yeah.
Instead, just take something on. And that's part of love languages too. I know that that's controversial, but one of mine is acts of service. And not having to ask for help. That in and of itself shows so much love to me. Is when someone just shows up and takes something off my plate without having to have me ask for it.
Yeah. Well, because I think, and again, this was in that TikTok video that I talked about earlier. He said, you know, my wife didn't leave me a list of here's all the phone numbers for the doctors, and here's what to do if this kid gets sick, and here's how to give the medication, and here's what dinners to make and whatever. He's like, she didn't have to do that because I'm just the other parent and I should know how to do those things. But women are expected to, if they give you a job at all,
Right.
to give you all of the instructions on how to do that job. I remember another post, I think it was Ezra Rising, who's on Facebook. If you want to look her up, she's great. But she said that she went over to a friend's house. They were like new to the area, trying to make a friend, whatever. And the husband, I think the wife was sick or something like that. They had invited them over for dinner, but the wife was sick. And so the husband was like, no worries, I'll make dinner, whatever. And she's like, oh, that's great. Love that for them. So they get there, and all he's done is bought ground beef to make hamburgers. He's going to grill hamburgers, right? And she's sick. She's still not feeling well. He didn't buy buns. He didn't get, he was like, I thought she was going to get those. I thought she was going to make the sides. Honey, where is the grilling tongs? Honey, where is this? And by the time that they sat down to eat dinner, which was just burgers at that point, and they had to go to the store to get the burger buns, by the time they sat down, she had gotten up like 12 times to get XYZ. Because women are expected, even if they give you a job, to still mostly do the job for you. Right. But then you're going to finish it and get all the credit.
These burgers are fantastic, Carl.
The
turkey's amazing.
But I just think it's so interesting because that's what I know we talk about things in a gendered way so often. This is a feminist podcast, guys.
I don't know if you know this.
Yeah, I haven't got on. But it is so often gendered in that way.
This is not on topic, but I posted on our Instagram and TikTok today because I was in Barnes & Noble a couple of days ago, and there's this board book, like essentially a children's board book, and it says, a man, a can, a plan. I just thought it was so funny. And the table of contents are like SpaghettiOs, beer, meat.
It was something, the subtitle was like, you can do this.
Yes. It was just ridiculous. But that is the society that we live in. We do not expect that, like, a man could make himself dinner without a board book and a can of SpaghettiOs. Like, we need to expect more. You're an adult. Figure out how to feed yourself.
Or wash your dog.
Or wash your freaking dog. Ooh. Another trait of a people pleaser is that they have low self-esteem. And I think so many women out there are taught, hey, if I give you a compliment, just downplay it. Or if I like your shirt, I can't just say thank you. I need to tell you, oh, well, I got it on sale. Or, oh, this old thing, it's been sitting in my closet for 17 years.
Well, I think let's talk about the be humble comments.
Yeah. There was, I mean, we talked about it last week, but the governor of Arkansas was speaking out against Kamala Harris and saying, she said, I have kids that keep me humble, but what is Kamala Harris, what's keeping her humble? As in oh, I can't speak. As an insult, because she doesn't have any biological children of her own, but she does have 2 stepchildren. And her response was, well, first, I think there's a lot of women out there who, for one, are not aspiring to be humble. I think that's such a powerful quote. Like, it's not that there's anything wrong with humility. I think that is something that we should have. But just because she's a woman doesn't mean her number one aspiration in life should be to be humble.
Right.
She's a powerful person.
And again, you don't say this to men. You don't say, well, what's keeping you humble?
Right.
And if we're going to call that a Christian attribute, because the Bible does absolutely talk about humility, if we're going to talk about it as a Christian attribute, then you have to ask men,
what's keeping you humble?
What's keeping you humble?
Drop the mic.
Right. I mean, like, where is your humility? Because we can't, there's nothing in the Bible, there's no argument that says women should be humble, but men get off the hook.
Well, I think anytime a woman shows that she has a backbone or is in a position of power or expects more out of the people around her, she's called a witch with a B.
I mean,
now,
absolutely.
I think women have tried to change that
narrative.
Yeah. So they put a boss in front of it.
Right.
But I mean, that's just another sign of how much further we have to go as a society. Is just because she is strong doesn't mean that she's a bad person.
Right. Well, my husband and I have been watching the show Scrubs, and this was a show, I mean, like, Brie and I have gone through quite a transformation over the years, okay? This is a show we always used to like. I always have enjoyed Scrubs, and it's funny, and I think it's hard to take today's standards and push them back. This is a 20-year-old show.
Yeah.
But still, I was watching, it's a pretty sexist show. Any of the women in it, it's not that they don't make them strong and powerful. They absolutely do. But it's almost like in a mocking sense. Like they're too strong and powerful. And there's one scene, I think I watched it yesterday, and he was talking about strong, powerful women and how it's so sexy when women are strong and powerful. Because we've always got to downplay.
Right.
If a woman is strong and powerful, we're going to turn it into a sexual thing because then it's not as intimidating, I guess. And so the scene shows these 3 women walking down the hall, and they've just, all of them have kind of taken control of particular situations, whatever. And it shows the men, the 3 men that are with these 3 women, and it shows them as children. So the fact that these women were strong made the men feel like children.
Which is ridiculous.
And it really hit me because the fact that I'm strong, the fact that I am independent, the fact that I can handle situations in no way detracts from my husband also being all those things.
Yeah.
It doesn't turn him into a child.
No.
It doesn't mean that he has any excuse to not handle his own crap. And yet you look at all of these things and it's like, oh, well, we love strong women because it's so sexy, but also it allows us to be children, or it makes us into children. I don't know. It's such a weird concept.
Yeah, that's very bizarre. I think anytime you add that extra but, you don't actually believe the previous sentence.
Right.
So, we love strong women, but, okay, so you don't actually love strong women.
Right.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous. I was reading this blog post about this woman who was claiming to be a people pleaser, and she's like, I need to stop being a passive spectator in my own life. I really liked that statement because I felt like that so many times, and I know everybody does, but when you're a kid, you're like, oh, if I could just get through high school, then my life is going to begin. Or if I could just get my license, then I'm going to have freedom and I'm going to have a great, fantastic life. But as people pleasers, how often are we actually taking control of our own lives? Not a lot. How often are you actually doing what you want to do and have goals that you want to achieve, not just your husbands or your families or your bosses?
Right.
What's making your life worth living right now? And we've talked about that a lot at my work lately, just creating a life for yourself that you don't have to retire from. And for me, a lot of that right now is this podcast. Having something that I get to do that's not just work related.
Right.
That I'm doing on my own time with you. And
I think what's keeping me going with that too, and I think you're absolutely right, is doing something that's just for you. I mean, we have to actively take time away from other things to do the podcast. I calculated it out one time, and it essentially equates to like a part-time job.
Yeah.
Between research, record, edit, post on socials, whatever. And so like those hours, that 20 hours a week or whatever it is, has to come from somewhere. And for a people pleaser, that's difficult because you have to step away and say, okay, well, I'm going to take an hour right now and Nathan's going to have to watch the kids.
Yeah.
And, you know, the kids might not be napping yet or whatever, but it's still okay that I go do this. And I think it's funny because if any of our family's still listening out there,
hello. I'm sorry.
We'll see you for the holidays. No, we see our family all the time. It's actually quite a problem. But I don't think anyone in our family would necessarily look at you and I in particular and say people pleaser. Because we really don't fit the same mold as a lot of the people that we love. Because we are much more outspoken. We are much less likely to get my husband a plate at dinner time. This crap is not happening here. But at the same time, it's one of those things where it's like, who do you compare yourself to? If we compare ourselves to very conservative Christian women, we would not be considered people pleasers, you and I.
Right.
But if we compare ourselves to alpha men of the world, we're very clearly people pleasers.
Right.
The inability to tell someone else to plan their own dang vacation.
Yeah. The inability to say no.
Those things, I think, absolutely lean themselves to people pleasing.
Or just constantly in the back of your mind being like, ugh, I should get up and go do this or go do that or take care of this. Just constantly on your mind. You can't just relax and be in the moment or give yourself a break. You're constantly thinking, oh, I should be doing this.
I think it goes into the story of Mary and Martha, too. There are a lot of stories of Mary and Martha, but
there's a lot of Mary and Marthas.
There are. It's a shocking amount of Marys. But in the Bible, we see a really great example of this. Jesus comes to his friend's house. So Mary, Martha, and Lazarus are siblings, and they're friends of Jesus. Which, how cool to be known in the Bible as a friend of Jesus.
A bestie.
You're not even talking like a disciple or something like that. A friend.
He's just come into your house to hang.
Yeah. It's super cool. But anyway, he's at their house, and Mary is sitting there listening to Jesus, taking it all in. learning from her savior, right? Martha is running around doing all the crap.
She's getting that charcuterie board. She's pouring the wine.
And she gets pissed at her sister.
I would
too. I mean, like, in that scenario, if I'm walking around trying to there's 20 people in my house, and I'm trying to get everything ready for everybody and trying to do all the things, and my sister has her butt sitting on the floor, we're going to have words.
We're going to catch some hands. Is that what the kids say?
I don't think the kids are saying
these fish. I don't know. I'm going to hit you.
And so Martha goes up to Jesus and is like, Jesus, come on. This is ridiculous. I need some help here.
Can you tell my dumb sister to stop it?
And Jesus says, no, Mary's doing the right thing here. The rest of it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if everybody's shoes are lined up by the door. It doesn't matter if the wine is all poured properly. People can handle it themselves. None of it matters. All that matters is sitting here and hearing the words that I'm saying.
Would you just calm down?
Yeah. And yet, despite that very clear story, where not only is Jesus saying that, but he's saying it to a woman. Despite that being in the Bible, the expectation of a Christian woman is to make sure everybody's shoes are lined up at the front door.
Yep.
Make sure the glasses are all poured. Make sure everybody has a perfect plate. Make sure the pies are lined up just so.
Right.
That is the expectation of a perfect Christian wife. Not to stop and spend time with the people that she loves. Not to stop and read her Bible.
Right.
Not to stop and be in the moment. But to handle all the crap. While her husband watches football. In spite of a very clear biblical command. So Christian women out there that are told, this is your role, this is your job, Jesus said it's not.
Jesus said it's not, and he said it's okay to expect more of the other people around you. To demand more, to say, get your butt up from that couch, go make a side dish.
Yeah. I mean, if you want a glass of wine, pour it yourself.
Yeah. If you want to eat, make your own plate. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Another blog that I was reading, there was a quote from, I think this woman's therapist or something. I don't know. But she said, raising your girl to be nice is like sending her out into the world with one hand tied behind her back.
Ooh.
Isn't that good?
That hurts.
Yeah. Because nice means not good, not bad, just nice. That's a quote from Into the Woods. But it's true. How often are we teaching our girls, don't be rude to him, even if he's making you uncomfortable. Just try to diffuse the situation. Be nice. When you're at work, maybe don't assert yourself as much as you think you should. Don't stand up for yourself or your other coworkers. Just be nice.
Don't make waves.
Yeah, don't make waves. Stay in line. But you're really doing her a disservice. And like that other TikTok that we were talking about where Mark Driscoll was saying he did not raise his daughters to be independent, but he did raise them to be strong. I don't know how he thinks he's raising them with any kind of strength, but we're teaching our girls, especially in the conservative Christian world, that they don't hold a lot of value other than their niceness.
And their ability to raise children and make Thanksgiving dinner.
Right.
And whatever.
But how are we raising our boys?
Right.
We raise them saying, you're strong. Everything you do, everything you touch is turned to gold. Maybe we don't do that. But.
No, but I think that's a totally valid point. We raise boys often, not always. I think there's a huge turn in society as we look at what toxic masculinity is and how it affects families. But oftentimes, particularly in previous generations, we were raising boys saying, if you change a diaper, it's a favor to your wife.
Right.
You know, if you do the dishes, she should throw you a party.
It's like that meme or the GIF. I don't know the difference between the two, honestly, where it's a husband or a dad and he is sitting on his phone and he's taking his kids for a walk, or he took the kids to the park and he's sitting on his phone and everybody around him is saying, what a great dad. Oh, he took his kids out for whatever activity. Amazing. But you see the exact same image, but it's a woman instead of a man. She's sitting on her phone. You think, wow, what a terrible mother. She's not paying
engaged.
attention
Right.
to her kids.
Right.
There's different expectations. If a man does anything, he's praised.
Well, I think I've talked about this TikTok before, but there's this creator, and I think it's Jimmy on relationships.
Oh, Jimmy.
If you've ever seen him, and he does a lot of role playing. I don't know if he's therapist. He presents himself as a
I've
therapist.
seen Jimmy. I've seen his wigs.
I think he's just got the one wig.
Cross-dressing Jimmy.
But he did one where he plays both roles. He plays the female partner and the male partner. And the woman is washing dishes and the man comes out and he's like, hey, where's my cup, my mug, whatever. And she was like, well, remember how I asked you to help out with the dishes? You know, you were going to do them half the time. I was going to do them half the time. This was not a chore that we decided was mine, but you've never ever done them. So now I'm going to do my dishes and you're more than welcome to do yours. And he got all pissy and was like, this is so ridiculous. It would take you 2 extra seconds to wash this dish. This is petty. You're just trying to be vindictive, blah, blah, blah. Goes on and blames her for it, right? And in this context, I think about that and it's like, it's almost cringy as a woman to sit there and watch another woman. It's really Jimmy, but in theory, another woman be assertive like this. It's hard to watch that because we're trained not to do it.
Right. Even if you think, oh, I wasn't trained specifically, but look at the examples around you. Watch those shows like Scrubs or any other show, Friends, you know, all of them. It's all around you. You've been conditioned as mostly a woman to be a people pleaser.
And it's not that I don't absolutely agree with what he's saying in that. Yeah, she shouldn't. If this isn't a chore that you've agreed that's hers, then she doesn't have to do it. You handle your own crap. You're a grown-up. I agree with it, but it makes me uncomfy.
Right.
Because, and my husband would never. But even so, it makes me feel like, ooh, she shouldn't be doing that. You know, like there's just this ingrained part of me.
Right. Well, I think you expect more of your partner. You sought out a partner who met your standards and you expected more. There are so many times, and out there in the dating world, y'all know, but people say, well, just maybe give them a second chance, or your standards are just too high. That has been said to me recently. Even when I know in my heart of hearts, this is not the kind of person that I want to lower my standards for, to make exceptions for. But women tell women to lower your standards. And we excuse sexist behavior all the time. Like that blog that I was reading, she was talking about her friend who's a female engineer and how hard it is as a female engineer in a male-dominated industry, and how expectations are different for her. Her work environment is difficult, but she's like, well, they do the best they can. Again, we're making excuses constantly. She's just being nice in a situation that, like, they don't respect her. And she says, well, they're doing the best they can.
Right. Well, I think I try not to talk about feminism as much in real life.
I have a problem with it.
Because I don't want to just be someone that's all I talk about. But it's really difficult when you do watch shows that are older to not recognize so much of that stuff.
Once your eyes have been open to it, it's like when you're looking for a car and you're like, I'm just looking for Subarus, and now all of a sudden all you see is Subarus all around you.
Yeah. Because you watch these shows and the women are caricatures. It's like they're not real people.
Right.
You know, you watch Friends, for instance. I love Friends. Okay, I probably watch Friends twice a year. But each of the women is a caricature. They don't have the same depth as a lot of the male characters do. Or think of like the secondary female characters even.
Yeah. Like
Janice.
That's her name.
She has one character trait. Until the end where they kind of try and make her more of a real person, but one character trait.
Right.
Any of the girls that Joey dates, one character trait. They're single moment characters, and yet you look at like the secondary men and it's not the same.
Right. There is depth. There are mustaches.
There are mustaches. Or with Scrubs, the women are so often painted as just sexual objects.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's very hard to watch that. Even though they're sitting there saying, look, this woman's a doctor. She's so smart.
Yeah.
She's so great, whatever. But every 3 seconds, she is in a situation where she's making out with some guy or she's half naked or whatever. And I don't do that in any way. I don't say that to slut shame in any way. But just that.
That's how the writers are writing her.
Right. She doesn't get to be any more of a person than that character trait or than that stereotype.
Even though obviously she's so much more than that. She's a doctor. She's a scholar.
A scholar?
A scholar.
I don't know if I would go quite that far.
Not for Scrubs.
Maybe not.
So as we approach the 50-minute mark.
Oh, hey, there was one more thing I wanted to bring up.
No.
Yes.
We're done.
No.
Goodbye.
No. So we've talked before about how in church, both Brie and I have done a program called Rooted.
Yeah.
I think a lot of bigger churches do it. It's like an intro to small groups. And I remember in one of the weeks, I forget how many weeks the program is.
I don't know.
But in one of the weeks, everybody goes around and gives 2 or 3 character traits of each person. So they go around the room and they say, this is the impression that I have of you as a person. And it's towards the end, so you've been with these people for a good bit and, whatever. And this one really sticks out to me. So we were leading the Rooted group. Big mistake. But we were.
I wouldn't trust you.
It's not even not trust me. This is a terrible time. But we are leading the group, and both my husband and I were the group leaders. It was not Nathan. It was not me. It was both of us. And I remember one of the older men in our group. And what I think he only had one descriptor for me, and it was maternal.
Ew.
Yeah. Now,
oh, that makes me uncomfortable.
I know.
I'd be like, I'm not your mother. Get out of here.
It was just such a statement to me. I see you as nothing more than the woman that brings the snacks.
Which is bizarre to me because if anybody has met Alyssa in person, that is not the first character trait I would say of you. Not at all. I don't even think it would make the top 10.
I don't. When he said it, I was like, have we met?
What? Which just shows he didn't take the time to listen to you or get to know you at all, because if he did, even in the slightest, his top trait would be like a little aggressive.
Well, I think I was typecast.
You're the lovely wife of our leader.
Yeah. You bring the snacks.
Yep. I think I would fill his glass with laxatives.
You set out the pencils before everybody sits down, whatever. Essentially, you're the administrator.
Yeah. That's just so different from my Rooted group because it was all female, except for one guy, but he left halfway through. So we were just drinking wine.
That sounds like a much better time.
Having a good time.
Ours...
Even still, we dealt with a lot of tough topics because
Because women push this on women.
Women push this on women. Women push submission. They push people pleasing. They push all kinds of things onto other women.
Yep. Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. There's that. How do you stop being a people pleaser though? I Googled that too. Don't worry.
I'm ready.
Don't worry.
I'm ready.
I'm Dr. Google. Practice saying no. I think.
No. How was that?
That reminded me of Charlie Brown the musical. You know, Kristen Chenoweth. She plays Sally. Anyways.
I actually have no idea what you're talking about.
She goes, no! Practice saying no without an excuse. Just say no.
Yeah.
Now, you're not going to run into these situations every day, but give yourself a chance to just flat out say no. I don't want to. Set healthy boundaries and don't break them. I think that's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Is like set those boundaries, but actually put them into practice. And it's hard because a lot of times those boundaries are around people that you do love or situations that you might, you know, it's just hard.
It is hard.
But prioritize yourself and set those boundaries. Learn assertive communication. I think something that women do specifically, and you'll see it all over TikTok, is they use the word just a lot. Like when you're sending an email, hey, I just wanted to check in with you.
Yeah.
Or I just wanted to try to make it softer, but be more assertive. Say, I am doing this, or I need this from you, not I just need this from you. Delay your response.
Oh, I do this all the time. Yeah. But it's mostly an anxiety response, so I'm not sure that's great.
Yeah. Maybe set a time for yourself. Something that I do is schedule a text.
Love that.
Did you know that you can do that, everybody out there? Schedule a text to go out at 2:30 a.m. You know, you're not around your phone. You don't have to deal with that person responding right away. But yeah, I think maybe say, you know what? I need some time to think about that. Or I don't have a response to that right now, but I'll get back with you by X amount of time.
Right.
To give yourself room to think, room to ruminate.
Room to be assertive.
Yeah, absolutely. Allow time for yourself and don't think that it's being selfish. And don't let people make fun of you if you just want to buy bubble bath and a candle and a big fat bottle of wine. Just allow time for yourself. Even if that means like, hey, I just left work and now I immediately have to go home and feel like I have to get started and make dinner, blah, 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 blah. Maybe you take the longer way home. Maybe you spend time just listening to that podcast that you've been wanting to listen to called We Are More Podcasts.
Binge it, people. It's great.
7 hours just to listen to talking about
at this point,
women.
We're at 27 hours. Okay.
Yeah, hey.
It's a lot of hours.
I think this would be 28, right?
27 or 20. We've learned this lesson. Don't do this to me.
I think it's 28. Don't use excuses and positive self-talk. I wanted to talk a little bit about this too. Think about, would you want your daughter to say this to herself or your friend to say this about herself or go through this situation? Look yourself in the mirror and stop criticizing yourself.
Yeah.
Look in the mirror and say, I'm beautiful. I'm smart. I'm confident. My boobs look great.
I love, there's a Nicola Coughlan quote, and she says something about how women like her don't get represented very often on TV. And you think it's about weight because that's all anyone can focus on with her. But she's like, women with perfect breasts.
Yes.
I fell apart.
She was just in the Time like 100 something, and she responded to, she's like, people need to stop calling me brave for being naked on TV. What really, the truth is, I have a great set of boobs, and this was just me showing them off.
Oy. On that note,
and also one last thing, prepare yourself for rejection.
Ooh,
yeah.
That's hard.
Because once you start saying no and once you start being assertive, you are going to experience some rejection. And that's okay. That is part of life. Prepare your heart for it.
Ouch.
Yeah.
On that note.
Yep.
So next week, which we're going to be recording soon, so I'll probably still be coughing prepare yourselves. But we're going to be, next week will be our Halloween episode. I'm actually not sure. It might come out after Halloween.
No, it'll come out on Halloween.
Does it come out? Oh, we're good. Look at us.
Yeah, it's a Thursday.
So we are going to be talking about the Salem witch trials.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. I've been doing some research, and we're also going to be talking about like the Pendle witch trials.
I don't know nothing about that.
Which were in England. So get ready for a little bit of spooky and some fun. We will not be
some haunted music.
I'll get right on that. You could just do that the whole time. All right, so we will see you guys for that. Look forward to it. We're going to be apparently singing spooky songs.
And also laughing like we're just...
Wow.
That was good, wasn't it?
All right, guys, look forward to that one.
Oh, if you know anybody from...
Just pick a state this time.
Okay.
You know a state.
Texas.
There you go.
Send it to your friends in Texas. Because they have a good steakhouse there.
Wow. Also, make sure you follow us on Instagram and TikTok. On TikTok, we are we.r.more4. And Bree's been posting some really fun stuff over there.
I did post a picture of a man, a can, a plan.
So go check that out. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.